Thank you for tuning in to The Solution Is You. If you're tuning in today, I really appreciate it. I hope that you are making the best out of your day. I hope that you are doing well. And I wish you well in all of your future endeavors. Let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Now, the subject of today is the decision maker. So I like movies, and the type of movies that I really enjoy are action movies, suspense movies, movies with crime and drama involved. These things really pique my curiosity and can keep me in the seat and keep my interest. So, what type of movies do you enjoy? Now, comedy isn't one of my best genres. I feel like over the years, comedy has been on a downward spiral. So, comedy is not really one of my biggest genres. I'm more into action filled flicks, Marvel, DC type movies, movies that have a storyline, and typically movies that are at least about 2 hours in runtime. Those are the ones that appeal the most to me. Now, I remember when I was 16 and we had a movie theater that just came into our neighborhood. So, this was called Lowe's Movie Theater, and everyone would go to Lowe's because this was the closest movie chain at the time. Of course, being a teenager, we walked everywhere, you rode your bike everywhere, and this new movie theater was just the place to be. So, Lowe's still operates, I believe. They were formerly owned by Sony Pictures and Universal, but this movie theater was really something new for the neighborhood because at the time there really wasn't much to do other than just hang out with your friends, go to the local restaurants. But because this movie chain was new to the neighborhood, everyone was excited. And as soon as they opened up, I was one of the first ones in attendance. So at the grand opening, it was a big deal because in order to draw as many people as possible, Lowe's put out some type of a promotion to where every movie that they premiered for the grand opening was just 25 cents. And they had movies such as The Nutty Professor. So I remember going into The Nutty Professor, and I tell you, that was one of the funniest movies, at least at that time. They also had Rush Hour, so everybody should know about Rush Hour. That franchise is probably one of the most successful franchises around as far as comedy. So the Rush Hour movie was very, very funny. And they also had Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat is one of those type of movies that I guess you can consider as a classic as it relates to the video game. And Mortal Kombat was really at that time something to go see because we had never seen anything like that on film. And so by everything being 25 cent, the movie house was packed. I mean, they had people, I mean, it was overly crowded. They had people sitting right under the screen, and I mean it was so jam packed. I mean, I've never seen a movie house this packed. But at 25 cent admission, you could you can see why so many people fill the house. In the 90s, we really had a lot of great action filled movies on television as well as on screen. And a lot of the well known actors that are around, at least right now, from back then, Sylvester Stallone, Steven Seagal, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren, just to name a few. So these were people who brought in the big bucks into the movie theaters, and you knew when you went in to take a look at one of their movies that you would get your money's worth. As far as I can remember from the 90s, even up to today, there were movie titles that had that one name. So that lets you know that the person or the role in this movie, the character, didn't play any games. So, for example, back in the 90s, you had the peacemaker, you had the negotiator, and then a little later, you had the transporter. And how about the Terminator? Everybody knows about the Terminator. And even today, you have the equalizer. So these were all movies where when you heard a name like this, you knew somebody was going to get hands and feet put on them, and you know you're going to more than likely get your money's worth. And this was a movie that you had to go see. Now, as I tie all of this into today's topic, the decision maker, we all have to recognize how important making decisions is in our day to day routine. Decision making is very important because it's more than just making a decision, it's making an effective decision consistently. And so sometimes it's the small things that we all have to pay attention to that takes us the distance. So, for example, when you're at a restaurant, so you're at a fast food restaurant and you're going in through the drive through, or if you go in to dine in, some may just look at ordering food as just something that you do and you do it without thinking. You know, how many of you have went into your local fast food restaurant and you just get to ordering? And sometimes you don't know or you're unsure of what you want to order. And so you sit there and you take your time and you may change your mind several times. You don't know exactly what it is that you want, especially if you're going in with someone like a friend or maybe your spouse or something, and you're going in and you need to order. You have people waiting behind you, but you're taking your time. So, as a man, it's not a good look because we want to have our stuff together at all times. And this could happen to men and women, but I'm more of an advocate towards men being on top of their game. And so, with men being leaders, it's important to always have your stuff together or appear to have your stuff together at all times. And something as small as ordering can be overlooked. So when you're going in and you're ordering food, you may be at your local fast food restaurant or you could be at an upscale restaurant. It's important to go in and know exactly what it is that you want and how to ask the right questions in case if you're at a new restaurant and not quite sure, there are still ways to get a job done and come off like you know exactly what you're doing. The last thing that you want to do, regardless of what it is that you're involved in, is come off as if you don't know, you're unsure, you're kind of fumbling around and mumbling with giving orders or direction. And this is something that the ladies really don't care for and don't like. And a lot of times they won't tell you as a man. Sometimes they will, but oftentimes they will not let you know how to go about giving direction because that's something that we should be already equipped with. So, how many times have you found yourself in a situation where you are with your significant other and you have to make a decision? And so, let's say you're ordering food at a restaurant and you're asking your woman, what does she want? And she's saying, well, I'm not sure, order something for me. And then you find yourself saying, well, I'm not sure. What do you want? And you going back and forth, going back and forth. So a lot of cases you have to interpret what women are saying. What they're literally saying isn't what they mean, and that's just the way it is. There's no way to explain it other than you have to interpret what they're saying. And that's why I always say when it comes to relationships, therefore decision making, there's a lot of interpretation that has to be had. And this is the point of contention because we take what, say, for instance, your significant other says literally, and try to process it and try to resolve it based on what was said, but not interpreting. And so there's more complexity when it comes to relationships and decision making. And it's not just as simple as what we boil it down to. So when there's decision making that has to be made, it's important as leaders that we step up, we anticipate, and we give direction in a clear, concise way to where there's no misunderstanding. Whatever we need done is understood, and then we oversee that it's being done. That's why, in a lot of situations that involve relationships, there's contention. This is majority of the reason, not the entire reason, majority of the reason why there's contention in relationships. The he said, she said, usually the man is the one who is in control because we have the cooler head. We're supposed to have the composure. We are supposed to know exactly what it is that we want. Whatever we say, we do. There's the way that we want it done, we just do it. But as you can imagine, if as a man, you don't have your mind made up, you're confused, you don't know how to process information and implement it effectively and consistently over time, then all faith can be lost in your leadership, not you as a man necessarily, but in your leadership. And so when faith is lost in your leadership, in the case in a relationship, a woman usually is looking to fill the void because she's looking to survive. So whatever you want do, she will do, or in some cases will go outside of the relationship looking to have this void filled. So usually this is the point of contention where it involves fussing and fighting, and women don't know what they want, men doing this, women are doing that, when everything revolves around decision making. You are the decision maker. Even if you are in a situation as a man where there is, say, a woman that is very contentious for no reason at all, and it's been consistent over time, then that just may not be the person for you. But either way, a decision has to be made by you. So it's important to understand your level of decision making. Make sure that you are effective with your decision making, and also do not downplay the importance of making a decision. I thank you for listening to me today. Please understand that the solution is you. With that, have a great day.